It's preparing to live stream the meeting. I love the little messages that says you setting it up, getting it ready, redirecting.
Got it.
So you know you're not forgotten.
All right, here we go. Okay, got it. All righty, and now I can focus back on you all and say good morning, and thank you all for being here. Bill, I think if you would like to start off the round of introductions, and then we can do orientation, and then we'll jump right into the review, that would be great.
Sounds great. Well, good morning and welcome everybody. Thanks for being here for this panelist presentation. My name is Bill Mitchell. I'm a public member of the Arts Board and I'll be chairing this panel group. I live in Lancaster, Wisconsin. I'm a visual artist and I'm also a gallery director and serve on the board of Roundtree Gallery in Platteville, Wisconsin. So if we could go around to hear from the other panelists, please. Jim, you want to start?
All right. I'm Jim O'Connell. I teach arts management at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point after spending 47 years managing performing arts buildings around the country, the last 22 of which I spent managing the Grand Theater in Wausau, Wisconsin. Since then, I am now in my 9th year of teaching arts management at the University in Stevens Point, which is where I am now.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Oscar, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Oscar Morales. I was the poet laureate of Madison for 4 years and published 3 anthologies called I Didn't Know There Were Latinos in Wisconsin. I currently am co-founder of Loud Wisconsin, Latinos Organizing for Understanding Development and Arts Organization in Dane County, and was the founder of Latino Arts in Milwaukee about 40 years ago, and serve on the boards of Overture Center for the Arts, the Madison Symphony Orchestra, and just got off the board of MOMOCA.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And Jessica.
Hi, I am Jessica. I am a photographer in my spare time, if that is such a thing, but how I would best describe myself. I also just spent 19 years at the Racine Art Museum in marketing and publication design, as well as community outreach. And additionally, I just opened a small gallery inside of a boutique hotel in downtown Milwaukee that provides art for both all the public spaces and room. And that's the short version.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Well,
Bill.
thank you all, and we appreciate your agreeing to serve on the panel, and I really look forward to your comments.
I'm going to jump in and make sure that Dale and Caitlin introduce themselves. I'll introduce me, and then no worries, and then yeah, can take it away on the goals. Dale?
Hi, my name is Dale Johnson. I'm a grants and information specialist here at the Arts Board. I'll just kind of be in the background here. I'll keep track of your scores and help out otherwise as needed.
Yeah.
Morning, I'm Caitlin Burrell. I'm the Folk and Traditional Arts Coordinator at the Arts Board, and I am also kind of just helping out in the back end today. So.
And I'm Karen Geschko. I'm the Assistant Director at the Arts Board, and it does take a village. You have 3/4 of the staff of the Arts Board on this thing. And so thank you both for being there as we move through this time. All right, Bill, go ahead and let's do orientation, and then we'll take some questions from the panelists if we have any, and then zoom right in.
Sounds good. The goals of the Creation and Presentation Grant Program. 7 goals of this program are: 1, to promote and sustain art of the highest artistic quality, to promote and sustain organizational and financial stability, 3, to ensure appropriate long-range planning, ongoing assessment and evaluation, community input, and sound promotion as approaches to increasing the effectiveness of arts organizations. 4, to increase local, regional, and statewide leadership among arts organizations in Wisconsin. 5, to increase audience participation in and appreciation of programs created and presented by the Wisconsin arts organizations. 6, to help organizations articulate the value of the work that they do and the impact of the work on the community and economic development to their local and state officials and the people in their community. And 7th, to encourage arts organizations to work to enhance arts education efforts in their community. These goals are essential to the long-term vitality of arts organizations.
I'm going to touch on the role of the panelist. Your role today is to provide expert assistance to the Arts Board in its grant-making decisions and to help keep the board informed regarding needs and trends that you see within this pool of sort of assorted applicants this morning. Today, you'll be reviewing those applications according to the established review criteria on your review sheets and in the guidelines, and making recommendations to our 15-member board. We'd like to apprise you, or we'd like you rather to apprise the board of those needs and trends that you see, either through your general discussion as you get through each of the applications, or in written comments on your review sheets, and certainly at the end of the day when we do, or end of the morning as we do an evaluation of the process.
Okay. The role of the panel chair. The role of the panel chair is both informational and procedural. The chair is responsible for providing information regarding Wisconsin Arts Board policy and ensuring that the panel meetings progress in an orderly fashion according to established procedures. The chair is a non-voting facilitator whose job is to ensure that each panelist's point of view is given ample consideration throughout the review of each application. The panel chair convenes the meeting and guides the panel through the review by serving as a timekeeper and discussion monitor. Panelists should focus their deliberations on how each application's proposal meets the established review criteria. The chair may occasionally need to refocus the panel towards that end. Panel discussion should always be constructive, regardless of whether it is positive or negative. At the December board meeting, the panel chair will report to the panel, the panel recommendations. A written record of these recommendations and a summary of the comments will be provided by staff to facilitate this process. Panel chairs will clarify these comments if requested by the board. The chair may also wish to comment on any trends or needs identified by the panel or make general observations regarding the overall nature of grant requests. We would greatly value the constructive comments or remarks on each application. Panel discussion is recorded and will be made available via the Wisconsin Arts Board's YouTube channel to all applicants when they are notified of the outcome of their grant application.
And that's a nice change. We were talking about the differences of convening panels via Zoom or virtually versus in person. And back in the day, we used to make little audio recordings that we would make available to the applicants, but now they can watch the process either during the live stream or afterwards. So yay, progress in this area. The role of staff today. I can answer technical questions like eligibility issues or whether the applicant submitted the required budgets. Did this applicant ask for assistance from me in the grant writing process, etc. I can't make any qualitative artistic judgments or tell you what I think of their work. I'm going to just refocus this again on the criteria too. Each application will be evaluated based on the purpose and the goals of the creation and presentation program in general, and specifically on those following 4 criteria issues or areas. The artistic, educational, cultural value, which is that first section, the organizational and financial management, their community participation and accessibility, and their planning, evaluation, and documentation. When we get to the scoring part of today, you'll be asked to score each application individually. However you score, be consistent throughout the morning. So in a 2-hour meeting, it's a lot easier than in an 8 or 10-hour meeting, heaven forbid. So I don't anticipate any like waves of energy or whatever, post-lunch, pre-lunch, whatever. But whatever you do, yeah, just don't score hard at first and then get easier or vice versa. At the end of every 10-minute discussion, You will hit submit on your review sheet, and Dale will give us a thumbs up when all 3 of those review sheets are submitted, and then we can move on to the next conversation. At the end of the morning, Dale will have collected and averaged all of the points, and you will see the list of these 8 applicants in the order of their highest to lowest score. And you can kind of see what you have wrought at that point, and then we can talk about that and the process as a whole. The gift from us to you is that you will not be asked to deal with dollar amounts. We have a formula that we run, so you don't have to negotiate who you think should get what. We're not even going to go there. All right, sorry. What happens next in the process?
As noted previously, the panel chair takes the panel recommendations to the full board. After review and ratification of the panel's recommendations by the Arts Board's members at their meeting, the applicants will be notified of grant decisions by mid-December. Conflict of interest policy. You have received the conflict of interest form. In the unlikely circumstances that you have been asked to review an application of an organization with which you or a person with whom you have a familiar relationship are associated, we ask you to withdraw from all consideration of that application. The panel should not take any action on any application which would financially benefit a member of the advisory panel or someone with whom a member has a familiar relationship. Panelists should be upfront about their ability to judge an application objectively. The perception of conflicts of interest should also be considered and avoided.
Thank you. And then again, the recording of the meeting and appeals. Obviously, the meeting is being recorded. Wisconsin Sunshine Law is an awesome thing, so we try to be as transparent as possible. And we are not obviously asking observers to identify themselves because unlike the in-person meetings, they are not seen, so you won't know whether you're being observed or not. Regarding the appeals process, we'd like to let you know that an applicant may only make an appeal based on procedural errors and not on the basis of an artistic judgment. Caitlin, I remember on Tuesday with the other panel meeting, there was a question of how to easily get from application to application. Probably less of an issue when there are only 8, but was there a takeaway from that that we might want to share with the panelists right now as we get ready to do the review?
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure if that panelist was just trying to go back but if you look in the top right-hand corner, there should just be a panelist home button in the top. And if you click that, it'll take you, you'll see that home screen with the 8 applications in initial review status. And as you submit final reviews, they will move into that final review category there. But if you go back to the home screen, click initial reviews, you can open each of them that way. Again, I'm not entirely sure what that mix-up was, but that should get you where you need to be.
Thank you. Jim, did you have a further insight to share there? No. Okay.
No, that was what I was going to say. That's what I figured out.
Thank you. Great. Okay, fantastic. Jessica, how are you doing in terms of getting those initial reviews in?
Yeah, I submitted them all.
Awesome. I'm not looking. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, yeah.
Caitlin and
Yeah,
Dale are.
I got them all. I got them all through there, and I'm trying to add comments.
Okay.
If I add comments and save the draft, does that appear on your end, or do I have to submit it again?
Oh, at the end, you will submit it again, because at the end, so after every 10-minute discussion, you're going to put some numbers in the scoring area, and then you're going to hit submit final. So after you hit the submit final, you won't add any more comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, but if I add them at this time and save the draft, they'll appear.
Yes. They'll still be there when you submit the final.
Trying to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Oscar, I see a hand.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm doing this on my phone and on my iPad, but I realized when I came in last night after the 3-hour delay in Denver that I forgot to plug in my iPad. So so if I got 37%. So as long as you limit your comments, we'll be great. No.
Do you have your iPad charger nearby?
Well, I think it might still be in Denver, so,
Oh, man.
but
Right.
I'll figure something out.
Oh, thank you. And if there's a way for us to do a share screen or something for you, we'll make that happen too.
Okay,
We'll figure it
okay.
out. Okay. All
Thank
righty.
you.
And I was going to say, Oscar, if your iPad does die, you could dial in too. We won't be able to see you that way, but we could hear you that way.
Well,
Okay.
it's more whether he can access the applications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a screen share then.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Other questions before we roll up the sleeves and get into this review portion? None. All right. I've got 9:26, and I shared again this morning with applicants that they can plan to be on a little early, because panel meetings are human things. So let's just, if you're all comfortable, let's just start with our first application. And Bill, I think it's helpful, given that there's so many disciplines involved today, to just say we are right now focusing on the visual/film arts organizations. There's one in this category. It's a small budget organization that has identified as working with volunteer artists. So generally not paying the artist involved in this particular work because it's a film festival. So if you want to go ahead and just identify the name of the application and call the first panelist, that would be awesome.
Yeah, if I may just give a quick procedural thing. I'm going to give a 2 at the 2-minute mark for the first read, and then a 2 again for the rest of the discussion, meaning it's at the 8-minute mark and there's 2 minutes left. So that's what that'll mean. The first one, Visual Art and Film Organization, Beloit International Film Festival. The first read on that is Jim.
Thank you, Bill. Just to let you know, I'm not, well, I will be able to see you if you're the last person that spoke, because I have reduced my my Zoom screen so that I can look at the other things.
So maybe okay to just say 2 minutes.
I could say it too.
Yeah, exactly. Please verbally give
sure.
us the 2 minutes. Anyway, the Beloit International Film Festival is 17 years old. It is located in Beloit. They do not pay their artists. As a matter of fact, filmmakers pay a fee in order to be considered for the festival. Their average revenues over the past 3 years were $215,797. The mission is to bring the world to Beloit and Beloit to the world through the medium of film. Their major presentation is an independent film festival for 10 days every February in various locations in downtown Beloit. Each festival involves more than 100 films and filmmakers. They also do a weekly film showing through the rest of the year, a set of weekly film showings for the rest of the year. And over the course of a year, they involve 200 artists, 5,000 adults, and 400 children. In addition to the film showings, the organization manages 2 school-related programs, Kids at BIF, which is engaged with all 5th graders in the Beloit School District and encourages critical thinking via film criticism. They also have a student filmmaker showcase for high school students. They have an artist in residence program, workshop discussions, and in connection with the Beloit College adult education, adult lifelong learning program, which is called
2 minutes.
Society for Learning Unlimited. They do a multi-faceted film seminar on a regular basis. They do all this with 1 staff member. Their economic impact in the community is approximately $400,000 pre-COVID. And their reach has been to Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, and beyond. In terms of impact on the community, generating traffic in downtown Beloit is one of their important functions, and it's especially important in February, which is, I don't know why, but in Wisconsin, a downtime for foot traffic in downtowns. The organization seeks to be genuinely integrated into their small, thriving community with blue-collar roots and to be equally appealing to people of all backgrounds. Their $150,000
at the 3-minute
budget
mark, Jim.
is approximately 1/3 salaries, 1/3 marketing, and 1/3 occupancy and operations. I will leave it at that.
Thank you. And the second read, Jessica?
Yeah, I was just focusing on sort of the basic of like what I thought was peculiar or, astounding about applications when I was doing the read. And I guess that overall this seemed like a strong application, but I couldn't figure out what was going on with their website traffic. Like it just is inconsistent with what they're accomplishing overall and what it looks like they would be accomplishing. It just seeing like the web traffic has gone down over the last few years, whereas I would sort of suspect that with virtual programming at most places and a transition from in-person things that their website traffic should be going up. So I was trying to understand what was going on there.
I think web traffic went down because they went in not into hiatus, but they went virtual. But you're right, that's an anomaly.
Yeah, so that's kind of the only thing that stood out for me as unusual.
Thank you, second reader. Oscar, do you have anything to add into the conversation? Strengths, weaknesses, questions?
Well, actually, I had a chance to see one of the films from the Beloit International a couple of years ago, and just was impressed with the diversity in the audience. And Beloit is one of our often forgotten cities, and it really created a vitality for the downtown. There was a lot of other things, a lot of action. So I felt that it really had a community spirit for a film festival.
Thank you. Anything else the
Yeah,
three of
and
you want to cover? Yeah.
well, I just wanted to add, I think that, I do have some background with film festivals, and I was a volunteer for the Milwaukee Film Festival for a number of years. And what I'm seeing too in what they're doing is, it's all really going in the right direction. They're doing a lot of community involvement pieces and educational pieces and anything that I kind of would hope to see at a film festival, especially a smaller film festival. So.
I thought their planning document was very good. Their newsletter was quite wonderful and had some inspiring messages in it in a variety of ways. And I meant to mention their BIF Cares program. They do a set of programs that are designed to focus on issues of societal concern and to help members of the Beloit community understand through film the struggles that folks they may not be familiar with are going through.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Their fund balance is approximately 1 year of operations, very healthy.
That's a good comment to make. Thank you for getting that in. All right. If there is no more discussion, please go ahead and put some scores in those sections on the review sheet. And when you have submitted and Dale has all three, we can move to the next one. Thank you.
I just have a question. There's a little space before the comments. That's where you put your score?
Yep.
Because I was putting my scores in the comments, so I was close.
Oh, you were close. Thank you for checking.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Thank you.
while we're waiting, if I may just say to anybody who's listening who is an applicant, please don't just listen to your own application discussion. As in my 22 years of submitting applications to the Wisconsin Arts Board, listening to discussion of other people's applications was one of the great learning experiences I ever had.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that plug. Now I need to figure out a way to encapsulate it, get it in quotes written down, and get it on the CNP page by the review schedules as we publish those. That would be good. All right. Bill, I see a thumbs up from Dale there.
Okay. Okay, moving on to our next applicant, multidisciplined organization, mid-size, Friends of Wisconsin Singers. And it looks like the first read is Jessica.
Yes, exactly. I just want to get back to that particular, because
Application?
they're not quite in the same order
No,
as
they're not.
so, okay, sorry about that. I think that overall this organization was very solid. What I liked about them, and I know that this is, it's a little bit more of a subjective thing. I thought that what they said they were doing and trying to get more involved with the community and be more responsive to the community really comes across in one of the examples, the Come Alive music video. I thought was very, it showed a lot of diversity in the community and just kind of a response to what has been going on culturally. And I think that that was really excellent. I liked seeing that and seeing where that could go with driving community participation in what may be a little bit inaccessible genre, as compared to, for example, the newer video that is in the work sample compared to 2019, which was more traditional. It really gave me a feeling of what they had said in their narrative of moving toward more sustainability and accessibility.
Thank you for calling that out.
I have more than 2 minutes, huh?
Yeah, you got it. You got it in 2 minutes easy. Any other
Okay.
strengths
Yeah.
or weakness?
Okay, and
Honestly, yeah, that's all right. It
Okay,
sounded like somebody else was
awesome.
talking.
we can go to the second read. And the second read is Oscar.
Yes, I also have some experience with the Wisconsin Singers. Both my son and daughter were in show choirs, and before they got into show choirs, I had no idea what a show choir was. So, they partner with a lot of the local high schools, and they give each of the high schools a chance to showcase their talents at the Wisconsin Union Theater, which is a beautiful venue. And, that partnership, I think really helps young people kind of see if they want to move their artistic career forward. I know a friend of one of my other sons who was in show choir has gotten an advanced degree and is a full-time singer and dancer, and clearly the connection between the show choir, the Wisconsin Singers, is an instrumental part of that. So I think clearly it is loosely associated with the university, but it has a strong university connection, and I think that was a big plus.
Right. Thank you. Jim.
Interestingly, I would have been happier, or it would have been helpful to me as a reviewer of the program if they had talked a little bit about the experience that the students receive and how many students are receiving the experience. I had to go to the program to understand that there were 35 students involved in the process. 18 of them are performers, including the musicians, and others are behind the scenes, and that they're getting good experience from this. I appreciate the urgency with which this organization is paying attention to its future. They're concerned about their ability to recruit singers. They're concerned, of course, like everybody, about their future financial stability. And unlike many organizations, I felt that their planning, evaluation, and documentation section was extremely strong with regard to the support materials that they provided. Their priority setting process was well defined. It was clearly a first step. They have mapped out the next steps. I urge them to continue forward on those next steps. It's a really good program, or a really good evaluation process that they have put together, and priority setting process. And I thought that their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis on their marketing plan was exceedingly good. And I urge them to move forward on the priorities that they articulated for that.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I agree with that actually as well. I also wanted to say that it seems like they have made adjustments, like historically, to come up with good solutions to continue running the program, and have really established like very positive partnerships, as mentioned earlier as well.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? All righty, hearing none. Go ahead and score them. All right, I see Dale's thumbs up, and I'll just comment that multidisciplinary is such a broad-ranging category. It is the broadest, as the name would would give you to believe. So we're moving within the same category to a very different kind of organization. So go ahead, Bo.
Okay, our next applicant is a large paid artist, and the group is Arts at Large. And our first read on that is Oscar.
Well, Arts at Large, it started out as a program and initiative of the Milwaukee Public Schools, and working with their K-12 educators. I was impressed with their ability to kind of pivot and realize both the limitations and the opportunities of working within the district and becoming their own organization. I was pleased to find that they're nationally recognized, and they have extensive program with a lot of community support. I was even more impressed with their ability to pivot during the pandemic. They had something titled the Arts Bag Initiative, where they, using videos and materials, they reached out to over 6,000 participants. Just the logistics of organizing that is very impressive. They also did a virtual summer camp, and I think oftentimes with the arts, it did shut down, but I think due to their creativity, and they were able to kind of shift and respond kind of quickly. So even though it's a larger organization, they had a nimbleness to it that I was really impressed with. I also worked in the Walker's Point neighborhood about 30 years ago, and familiar with the area and the different arts organizations that are programming there. It is a neighborhood that's being gentrified, and I was impressed with the creation of the new community center, and more impressed that they worked with 47 artists and paid almost more than $250,000 in artistic fees, and it had over 5,000 people. So,
2 minutes.
So overall, very impressed, and really like the breadth and depth of what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. And our second read is Jim.
I am tremendously impressed by this organization. Its breadth is terrific. The fact that they opened a physical facility immediately before COVID caused them to go virtual, and yet they didn't cry. They didn't cry about it. They simply made the pivot, as Oscar said, to programs that were more appropriate, without a hitch, it seems. It was nimble. They were exceedingly nimble in that situation. I would like to call out as a best practice goal 1 in their strategic planning document. As a wide-ranging organization, I think it indicates extraordinary generosity of experience. So remember that this is goal number 1 in their strategic plan: to research current organizations in the city of Milwaukee that provide similar services, to determine the unique niche of arts at large, and assess public current program offerings to best serve our community through our mission where it's needed most. That is, they're not focusing on owning everything they do. They are focusing on which needs of the community are unfulfilled, so that they can focus their attention on those. I think that's an extraordinary goal for an organization to take on.
Jessica, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is also a very impressive application and an impressive organization. I have some familiarity with them and have known some of the artists that have taught within the program. The things I wanted to mention in particular, again, is the strategic plan is incredibly clear and precise and compelling about moving forward, and it addresses DEI goals with reasonable attainment plans. So it also, which also responds to the fact that they have historically really included community involvement and partnerships in determining their way forward. It sounds like they're having two-way conversations that really respond to needs and interests of stakeholders, with not just, striving ahead and looking at what they say their mission is, but looking into the community and seeing what the community would like and needs, and following through on that, programming as much as possible.
Great. Other comments, questions, kudos?
What I wrote on my comment sheet, not on my physical comment sheet, was wow.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, if there are no other comments or discussion, go ahead.
Yeah,
Oscar.
I just did have one other comment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of organizations are afraid to bring in an outside evaluator. Not afraid, I think just bringing in an outside evaluator to really is a testament to the faith in the work they do, the integrity of the work they do. So, and see it as an opportunity for growth. And so I was really impressed that for such a young organization to do that.
All righty. Other comments? And thank you for scoring. Thumbs
I
up.
just had one more question.
Yeah.
If we put in our numbers in the smaller one, it automatically adds it, right?
Right.
Yeah, because I saw a thing where you had to add and I got worried. So
Uh-oh.
even though I'm an educator, I got worried about adding my math.
Yikes. Go ahead.
If you hit save draft, it adds it for you, Oscar. You have to hit
Okay.
save draft and then submit.
Okay.
Ah, thank you for that tip.
Can someone check if I did it?
Dale gave a thumbs up. If he had any questions, he would call him out, I know. So with that, I think we can move into our next category.
Presenting organizations, large paid artists, Shower Arts and Activity Center. And our first read on that is Jim.
Thank you, Bill. Shower Arts and Activities Center is located in Hartford, just west of Milwaukee. Its annual operating budget is a little over $1 million on average over the last 3 years. They operate they opened in 2001 in a rehabilitated canning factory in downtown Hartford. It was part of the downtown redevelopment efforts in that community. The center is a comprehensive multi-purpose arts complex boasting a near 600-seat traditional proscenium theater, visual arts gallery, rehearsal hall, scene shop, and adjacent supporting backstage and lobby areas. They offer a professional touring performing arts series, a school-time matinee series, a community school of the arts, which is unusual for a performing arts center, educational outreach activities, and in 2021 they developed an outdoor court. In 2020 and 2021 they developed an outdoor courtyard, including a stage and outdoor sound equipment. They also host tenant community arts organizations. They generally pay about 50 artists a year who perform to 15,500 adults and almost 3,000 children. Their pre-COVID staff was 7 full-time and 2 part-time, and their current staff is 8 full-time and 3 part-time. I think that's, I saw that a couple of times that staff actually increased for organizations since COVID. They did have to reduce programs during COVID. Their Tykes in Pikes being their multi-purpose room, is in continuing hiatus due to the fact that it's an interactive program for the youngest audience members. They have good community support with individual donors and corporate partnerships that developed outdoor performances in that new courtyard, helped them. They have an excellent comprehensive strategic plan, but it was developed in 2014. It would be helpful to see an update on that progress. And they also have a quality marketing plan. I found their how did they know section to be restating their values rather than telling us how they learn what their community needs.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else?
The second.
Sorry, second read. Sorry, my bad. Second read is Oscar.
Yeah, having been involved in the arts for close to 45 years, I really felt that this is a community-led organization, and their varied approach to programming reflects that they're listening to the community. Once again, the arts, when you're talking about community revitalization, the arts are a key underpinning to really bring people to the downtown, bring people back home. And I really felt that this facility, and I don't always recommend that groups get facilities unless you're ready. And it seemed like they had really built both the underpinning of their programming and the community support. And I think as a rural, small town, I think this is a perfect example of how you build community through the arts. So I was truly impressed to see the wide variety of programming they're doing. I don't want to say it's just having a space is both a challenge and an opportunity, but they've expanded their space to serve, including this outsourced space, to serve the community.
Jessica, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I have this, and maybe it's a question. In what I see, I don't see work samples. Now, I know that they are actually a facility, but
My apology, Jessica. This is the one category presenting where they don't submit work samples because they're not producing, they're presenting.
Oh.
So I apologize for not underscoring that more clearly in the orientation.
And yeah, and I mean, that makes sense. It's still just because I have never been there. I guess that I would kind of like to see what sort of things they're presenting.
Yeah, did the season brochure that they uploaded, or whatever they did in lieu of that, give you any insight? And Jim, it looks like you had something to share on that.
No, they did upload the season brochure, at least one, and they.
I do see that. I guess
that's for presenters. That's kind of their work sample.
I guess I'm not aware it was not. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry for the lag. Yeah, for presenting organizations, the season is acting as the work sample, so you get to see what they've curated with their community and for their community within that glimpse. Yeah.
There's a fair amount of preliminary material in that in that brochure, but once you scroll into it, you can find their artists.
Thanks, Jim. Any comments on?
Yeah, that was just a point of order. I apologize.
Yeah, no apology needed. Jim, any commentary on the artist selection or any of that as you move through this time?
It's a solid community responsive program. I saw they talk a little bit about responding to the conscience of the community. That I take to mean the current taste of the community, and then pushing it a little farther. I didn't see a lot of examples in their in the brochure for the most recent season that talked about pushing that seemed to me to be pushing it farther. But I think this is probably a year in which it's a good idea to stick with the meat and potatoes of programming until you get the audience back.
You think communities have been stretched enough in other ways?
I think that's possible. Yes.
Okay, got it. Other comments about this applicant or application?
The final thing is, it was nice to see that they were able to be in a position to apply for PPP and shuttered venue, and I think that it's very very future looking to kind of see that as a reserve for future challenges. So I thought sometimes when you have money in your hands, it makes it a little more challenging not to spend it. So
we'll see that in a few other organizations that COVID actually allowed them to solidify their financial position, which means that moving into post-COVID, if we ever get there, they may be better able to weather the uncertainty of reconnecting with their audiences.
Thank you, Bill. I saw 2 minutes left. Final thoughts before you score? All righty, please do so. Wow, that was fast. All righty, thumbs up from Dale.
Oh, great. Okay, well, let's move on to our next applicants, and it's music organization, Small Volunteer Artists. And the first one is Civic Symphony of Green Bay. And the first read is Oscar.
yeah, the Civic Center of Green Bay, it's an organization founded in 1995, which somehow doesn't seem like a long time ago, but they were able to have the founding director and bring in a new director, and it seemed like a seamless transition. I think given all this disruption, it's good to see an organization be able to create a plan where the next leadership takes it on. Noting that, it was a little saddening to hear that the Green Bay Symphony Orchestra died before COVID, and I think it's just a reminder how fragile our arts organizations are, and how if you don't build that community support, it's sort of not a given. They do four concerts a year. They were able to pivot for COVID with a virtual series. I really liked the way that when they were looking for both performing and rehearsal space, they reached out to UW Green Bay, St. Norbert's, Schwaben. I think that's when I reviewed their board, it's clear that their board members are involved and have the personal connections that are necessary to find success. I probably the only question I had was their budget. With they have an extensive in-kind, and it probably would have been a lot more clearer if sort of the numbers kind of aligned up a little more clearly. So that's yes, I can add, but it just seemed like there was. I know with the pandemic, it caused a lot of budgets to really have strong variations, but the budget was probably the only thing that I had any questions on.
And our second read on this is Jessica.
Oh yeah, so this one, I had questions about the budget, and I was trying to go back and forth on this because it doesn't seem to match the 990 unless I'm missing something. I honestly went back and forth and thought, this is not adding up, because on the 990 it looks like they actually had different revenue than is listed here. So in their operating budget summary, so that's confusing. But what I did, absolutely, I just love the idea of their tagline, "Music you like by people you know." That's just the best. Ooh, am I in the place?
That's perfect. Thank you. That's you're
Yeah.
looking at the Civic Symphony of Green Bay, yeah?
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Sorry, I
Awesome.
just had like a meltdown. I'm like looking back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, no, okay. This is excellent. Yeah, I love that tagline. It just made me so happy. I was like, what a brilliant idea to like get people invested and involved. I love that. So
The beauty of having three panelists and staff and board is that we're here to hold you through meltdowns. And Jim has been very patient because I think he
thank
has some
you.
insight into the budget. So please, Jim, jump in
Yes,
there.
I figured out what I did the same thing that Jessica did, went back and forth between the 990 and the summary page, and I figured out what they did. What they did was they misunderstood in kind, and they put all of their contributed income under in kind. If you add up the contributed income and the earned income that they have on the summary page, you come up with the number that they had for total revenue on the 990. So it was a simple misunderstanding of what we meant, what was asked for on in kind. Their
Okay.
actual average revenue was $59,500 for the 3-year period, as opposed to $12,000. So they are a much more solid organization, which matches their narrative. They're a much more financially stable organization than they appear to be if we look at the misallocation of funds on their summary page.
Thank you for catching that. That will affect a number of things. So
It was not 145. It's a little bit over $59,500 is their average annual revenue. So just add together the two numbers that they have for other than expenses on there, and you'll come up with the numbers that match the 990. I do also want to say I thought that their programming was fascinating, especially their recorded programming for COVID activity. The fact that the video content they created with small ensembles and solo pieces also included introductory material and educational material for each of the two entirely recorded programs that they did. I thought that was fascinating and creative work. I also think that for a civic symphony of this kind, which is ordinarily focused simply on allowing the players to perform, I thought that they were outward looking and extremely responsible.
thank you. Other comments, other questions, other kudos? All righty then. Please go ahead and score it.
Okay.
Thumbs up from Dale. Okay, thank you, Dale.
Okay, on to our next application. It's New Voices, Inc., and the first read on that is Jessica.
It is. Okay, so with this one, I guess that across the board, what I was seeing was like not a very specific application. It seems like they're doing an important work. And I think especially in their location, it has a lot of value, but I felt like there's a lot of generalizations here, and maybe not enough specific information about their full impact. And so that was kind of one of my very first reactions to this. And I kind of kept going back and forth over it and trying to see if I was perhaps missing something. So, I really appreciate if other people have a different kind of take on this than what I was seeing. That said, I thought that the performance itself was just lovely and beautiful. But I guess I wasn't seeing enough information about how they're impacting the community and the arts in the area. So I'm hoping there's other thoughts on that.
Okay, and our second read on this applicant is Jim.
I had a similar sense. I wish that they had taken, they spoke about the fact that they're doing initiatives, and I have suddenly lost my note on what they call the initiative. Forgive me while I look for it. They have an initiative that is impact series concerts. That's what they're talking about. Their impact series is intended to partner with other organizations to create conversations on social issue topics such as climate change, poverty, and immigration. The program that they provided for an impact concert this time, I couldn't find the social impact issue in it, and I couldn't, and perhaps I missed it, but it was not obvious to me what their partnership was with regard to that particular program, which they provided as part of this application. I think that the notion of creating theme programs around social issues is an excellent one. I would like to have had a clearer example, or like to have had them call out their activity in that area. I think their high school master singers program, which they are hoping to expand, is a very positive thing. I like the fact that that aspiration is on the table. Once again, this is an organization that managed to improve its financial position by taking advantage of the COVID grant programs. And that so that they are aspiring to do things with that stability, and I think that's an exemplary thing to do. Let's see. I thought that the fact that they had a facilitated board retreat, just as Oscar said, with regard to arts at large, bringing in a facilitator for a board retreat and engaging in priority setting is a very positive thing to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to concur with what Jim said. I think for volunteer kind of led organizations, the pandemic was a little harder because you didn't have as many opportunities to meet, the technology challenges. So they're I think they're on the cusp of doing, I think they have some good ideas and initiatives. It's just with COVID has probably hampered. I also agree the retreat was helpful. I think they're heading in the right direction, but when it's volunteer led, it just takes a little longer. That's my only concern.
Yeah, I would agree with what has been stated. I just wanted to go back and say one thing, which is that I think they are doing, they're going in the right direction. But I guess as compared to some of our other small organizations, they're really, I don't know, I think it's significant to mention that they really haven't gotten as far with their strategic planning. It's kind of in the rough draft phase. So I guess that one piece of where they're at, still needs some work, as kind of like just a clarification of what others were saying.
Thank you. Those are helpful comments. Do you have more? Again, questions, kudos, comments?
The only question I have is just the statement that Karen, you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. Right back at you. It's really helpful to applicants, whether it's this particular one or all who are listening, to just get a sense of what's popping out for you, what causes questions, what causes the thumbs up. Given the fact that you have 3 different perspectives coming into the mix, it's a helpful balance to have. So thank you for that.
I did want to say that many community choral organizations in particular are entirely inward looking and focusing most significantly on providing their members with opportunities to sing challenging work. The fact that they have a planning document and community engagement initiatives that are attempting that are talking about integrating with the community in a genuine way is a refreshing surprise, quite frankly.
Thank you for that too.
That helps a lot for me because I'm not as familiar. Yeah. So thank you.
All right. If there are no other comments, then please go ahead and finish scoring.
Oh, let me see.
Thumbs up from Dale. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to our next applicant, which is Green Bay Boy Choir and Girl Choir. And Jim, you're the first read on this one.
Green Bay Boy Choir and Girl Choir is an organization, strangely enough, located in Green Bay. Its annual operating budget average over the last 3 years was $154,000 approximately. The performers themselves are volunteers. As a matter of fact, the performers pay a fee to be part of the organization, a membership fee. Although they have scholarships that allow them to not to turn down anyone who wants to be a member of the Green Bay Boy Choir and Girl Choir. I think that's a very positive thing. This is an organization that has has had some upheaval recently. They were significantly impacted in terms of their membership, and therefore, because the membership fees are a significant portion of their budget in terms of their finances, by the COVID mandated shutdown. And their staff turned over entirely during this COVID time period. So especially what I found that came through the narrative was a sense of passion for the work and a bit of a sense of desperation about how to rebuild the organization. I think especially for new staff members still learning the organization, the internal focus of the narrative on membership recruitment and fundraising challenges and how good it felt to be in person again, it's entirely understandable. But the impact on the children is important. But please tell us a little bit about the impact on the community as well. They began to hint at it by referring to community events and appearances, but they didn't tell us about those. Where do the choirs perform? For whom? How does it enhance their other community activities? Tell us more about the 5 choirs. What are the distinctions among them and the music they undertake? Is there a lower level and a master level choir for each gender? How is the mixed choir chosen? Can students be in more than one choir? You allude to the students advancing through the choirs as they are able. Please tell us about that. And please take the time to explain the deficits and how you've handled them in the budgeting section of the application. The planning document that they did is a crucial first step, but who's moving the priorities forward and how. One other thing, I was a bit uncomfortable about the fact that they included individual self-evaluations as part of their evaluation documents. The self-evaluation form for the staff members or the artistic staff members would have been sufficient. I quite frankly did not read the individual's responses to those because I felt like that was an intrusion that wasn't appropriate. So I understand why you included them. You were trying to respond to the request for evaluation material, but evaluations of individuals is not something that's appropriate for this process.
Thanks, Jim. We're going to move on.
I'm going to interject for just a minute. Jim, before you move from that thought, what evaluation material would you have liked to have seen?
I would like to have seen any ways in which they engage the parents or the students in thinking about how effective their experience was. I would like to have a look at anything that they have with regard to finding out how the audience and sponsors experience the occasions.
Thank you for that. Sorry, Bill.
Oh, no worries. Okay, Oscar, you're a second read.
Yeah, as soon as I feel like I figure out Zoom, then I touch something and then I kind of freak out there. Well, one, it was good to see that, and I think this has happened across the country, that both the boys choir and girls choir, saw the opportunity, not the need, to merge. And I too was impressed with the number of choirs and would like to have seen a little more, master level, age level, and just to get a little more in-depth background on the organization. I was impressed with the fact that they've been able to tour, and I think for any young people to go abroad not only expands their horizon, but they get a better understanding of their home country when they're able to do that. So I thought that that opportunity that they provided on a number of occasions is just the benefit of that is far-reaching. I also noticed during the pandemic, some organizations were able to be nimble enough, and some others kind of just because of the depth of the pandemic and I think proved to be some challenges. And I think this organization struggled with that. And once you have staff turnover, that's always that's a challenge in regular times, let alone during a pandemic.
Jessica, some comments?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are fairly similar to those already mentioned, so I don't actually have much to add.
Okay, that's okay. I would just check in. Y'all were talking about the staff turnover. Did you say something about the board turnover that I missed, or board leadership during this time, or was there any discussion about that? Okay.
I do want to mention that the purpose of the organization and their determination to succeed are admirable, but asserting the impact is not the same as describing how the impact is being achieved. So that's the thought that in the evaluation section I thought was lacking.
I was going to say that takes us right back to evaluation. So to have seen something that says, this is how we know whether we are meeting our goals or how successful we are at working toward those, or whether we need to reorient our goals in this time or whatever.
Precisely.
So just insight into that process would have been
precisely.
Okay.
They did create a set. They created a set of issues. They created and they brought those into a set of priorities for themselves, and that's the necessary first step in coming up with a plan to move forward. And I
And then you were looking for what happens in that
I absolutely
second step.
commend them for that.
which is evaluating how they're doing with those. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. All righty, other conversation comments? Oscar,
Just
you
again,
wanna-
that I think that's a.
Yeah, Jessica.
Oh, I was just saying again that that's a fair, you know, assessment of their lack of assessment.
Okay.
Have I not submitted yet? I did not submit. Submit, Jim.
It sounds like you're already scoring, so great. Thank
There
you.
we go.
All right, I see the thumbs up.
Okay, move on to our next one. Still Music Organization, Small Paid Artists, Racine Concert Band Association, and our first read is Jessica.
Yes, that is me, but I hadn't actually finished submitting my scores, so I don't know what happened there, but
Sorry about that.
that's okay.
Please take your time. We are
Yeah,
doing
I'm sorry.
really well with time, so just
Yeah, let me please go back to that
absolutely.
because
Yeah. In fact, just let us know, and Oscar and Jim, Bill, anybody, if you want to just take a stretch break for a minute, that we are doing really fine on time.
I was just confirming that was all there then. Okay, now it's submitted.
All right.
Okay, Racine Concert Band. Well, I would just like to acknowledge that I don't have any direct conflicts with the Racine Concert Band. I do know the executive director, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yep.
And so the Racine Concert Band, actually also have to get to that application because I
Okay.
was
No
so excited
worries.
about scoring that other one.
And thank you for being excited about that. That's critical.
I know, like this is honestly a super cool process. I really appreciate how organized it is. I mentioned that in our pre-planning meeting, but I wanted to mention that again. It makes it a lot easier. I've done other grant committees, and you kind of sometimes it's easy to get bogged down in the weeds with some things, and this process seems to work very well.
Yay, that's always good to
Once
hear.
I actually get to the application, then we'll be super duper awesome. Okay, so yeah, I was thinking with this one, what I really appreciated was the clear ideas and sort of you know, really activating partnerships and trying to respond to different like parts of the community. Notably, I would say the collaboration with the Poets Laureate of Racine and Kenosha. I thought that was very interesting, kind of crossing you know, crossing genres there, and also efforts to bring different kinds of music education to students and, you know, asking them to actually do some composition and playing things that were composed in the schools. I think that's really lovely, especially since otherwise, you know, it's a concert band. It's a fairly traditional model. Beyond that, it's been around for 100 years, but the idea that they're moving or making an effort to move with the times and respond to the community of Racine, which is certainly among the more diverse, is really great. One thing, I mean, I do see that they're, you know, working on strategic planning, and they must have done some planning to kind of like move forward with their mission statement and like doing some different kind of community partnerships, but it's still, it's a little bit thin, and I don't really see a very robust marketing plan either.
Jim, I believe you're the second read.
Starting where Jessica left off, I thought that their 5-year plan was an excellent priority list, but it would be helpful to see assignment of responsibilities among staff and board members and specific timelines, including progress reports, in order to turn it into a real strategic plan. And I am hopeful that the board has responsibility for activating this, and it's not just all on the new executive director. I think that its chances for success are important. Going back to Jessica's comment about the organization being more aspirational than many civic bands, I think the fact that they clearly have a robust and continuing commissioning program and regularly perform new works is pretty wonderful. I have to give them high marks for being a forward-looking organization. I thought that the Roots in Racine aspect of the programs that they do with the high school, that is bringing professional performers who have careers in to perform, who started out in those schools, in to perform for those students as an example of the fact that students can have careers in the arts, is a splendid program.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Thanks for mentioning that, because that was the other thing I did really like that idea. What a fun way to connect with professionals.
Thank you. Oscar.
Sure, thoughts?
Well, I don't have a conflict, even though I'm from Racine and I love everything Racine. And if it has Racine in the name, I love it. But other than that, no, it was just refreshing to see all the connections with the University of Wisconsin Parkside, with the as a poet laureate, with the poet laureates, and it brings community into community concert band. So I really thought that to me that was most impressive. I think going from part-time to volunteer staff to part-time staff, that's a huge step, and I think they're just on the cusp, and I think we will see benefits down the road given the networks that they have. So the person won't have to, sometimes the new director has to create all these relationships. All those are in place, and there's just they have tentacles all over. So I really look forward to where they're heading, and it's great to be from a place called Racine.
Thank you.
I have some allegiance to Racine also, but I just thought that seeing what's going on is really forward thinking.
I thought that the traveling exhibit on the band's 100-year tradition was a great way to enhance their visibility in the community. And the fact that it's been at, I think, 6 locations is pretty smart. This appears to me to be a very intelligently managed organization. It still has its challenges, as exemplified by the shortcomings of the facility at the Racine Zoo that were mentioned, and the lack of stability of their financial support since the city, and I don't understand why this wasn't mentioned in the mayor's proclamation praising their 100th year. The city didn't mention the fact that they decreased their support from 92 to 34% of the budget.
That's weird that they wouldn't mention that.
That's an ironic comment. Sorry.
Yes.
I know. I love
the irony is clear.
Yeah, but I think once again, this is an organization whose financial position improved due to COVID, and the fact that they are using that windfall plus the $50,000 bequest to cushion the expenses of a really ambitious 100th anniversary year, I think is terrific and should pay dividends going forward. It seems to me that that's an investment in their future.
I wanted to respond really quickly. Jessica, you had talked about the marketing plan, and you have such a diverse group of applicants that you're reviewing here. I just wanted to call out that for the small budget organizations, a marketing plan is not one of the requirements. It's certainly awesome if they have one, but it's not something that we say they need to submit, unlike the mid and large size organizations. So I can see why you missed that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay.
I think really the major area of improvement that this application could see is going to come as they develop their planning process a little more effectively. Planning and evaluation is the area moving forward, but they clearly have good ideas and have implemented good ideas moving forward.
Thank you, Jim. All righty.
I just have one final comment. I really appreciate the in-depth and the concise comments from all the panel members, because I'm still at 27% on my so I didn't have to go back old school and get on my phone. So I really want to thank you for your brevity, your on target. I thought I was going to have to say something, but you saved me having to say anything. So.
I know you guys won't believe this, but this is Bill Mitchell's first time chairing a panel, and he is like timekeeper extraordinaire. Thank you very much for keeping that going.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. I'm sensing that we're done with the discussion of this particular application. So if you have not yet done so, please finish scoring.
Oops.
If it doesn't interrupt people too much about their thinking, I just wanted to say that I appreciate Jim and Oscar for being really excellent peers. So I have a good example of how to do this again next time as well. I think that's been really fun.
We have a progressive panel here, Bill. They're already moving into evaluation. Whoa.
Oh, sorry. Did I segue? Gosh.
What? You, Jessica? What?
Me? Segue? Did I segue?
Everybody brings different strengths to these conversations. This has been a great conversation.
All right. Once you have your scores in to Dale and we see the thumb up, I'm going to encourage you to take a stretch. You have well earned the stretch break. And then will you need 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What do you need at this point? 5 says Jim. Bill says 5. Okay, 5 it is. Jessica, you're 5. All right. Please put your camera off. In 5 minutes, come back.
Hey, that's the way it goes.
All right. Bye.
That looked good, Bill.
I gotta have my coffee, especially in the wintertime.
I've got to have my Diet Coke. I can't drink coffee anymore. I did sufficient damage to my esophagus in my 20s and 30s.
Oh boy.
Can't do it anymore.
Oh,
Sorry, did you say Diet Coke?
Yes,
Diet Coke is better on your throat than coffee?
it has either less or a different kind of acid. I don't get the acid reflux with the Diet Coke as long as I keep it in relative moderation.
Oh no. All righty. So many things to learn when you watch a panel discussion.
right. Well, this has all been very enlightening for sure.
Yeah, I've paused the recording, but we're still live streaming. For those who hung out during the pause, yay. And now it looks like I'm seeing Jessica too. Great. Once Oscar joins us, we can move right into the next portion of our day. And Dale, no rush. When you have a minute to share the scores that have been done, just unmute and let us know it's coming. And we'll take a look at the score sheet sort of in a shared screen mode here. I'm going to start us again.
Okay, well, it's ready, so you can see it.
Okay, recording has recommenced after I paused it there. So welcome back. Dale, thank you for sharing
Okay.
the scores that the panels have sort of wrought here. Okay. Going to give you a minute to look at this and then tell me if there is something that surprises you or you want to discuss as you look at this. Seem to reflect the conversation. Any surprises? Jessica, you're there, yeah?
Mhm.
Oh, Jessica might not have come back.
I am there.
Good.
I was having some trouble. I have to look at this really quick. Can you hear me? I'm just making sure.
Yeah, we can totally hear you. Is
I'm
it,
gonna.
would it be easier for you to, if I read off the scores, or can you see them?
Yeah, I'm just no. I'm good now.
You're always good, Jessica.
Awesome. Okay. All right.
Ah, that's awesome.
Jessica, you got my vote too.
Mhm.
What do you
Oh,
think?
that's so good.
Does this reflect the discussion and
Yeah.
the conversation
Mhm.
from your perspectives?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. What I see from this also is not only a reflection of the discussion, but also your recommendation as a panel to move all of these into the recommend for a grant category, since they are all well above that 50 floor that we set for this program. But if you have any concerns about any of them moving into grant recommendation status, now would be an awesome time to share those concerns. All righty. You have given some really, from my perspective, helpful comments, not only acknowledging the strengths of the organizations and their works during this time, but also some areas for some of them to consider and think about, which is one of the side benefits of a panel review, to get that kind of, you were talking about outside evaluators earlier in the morning, and in a way you are sort of that. For these groups. So thank you for your work and your thoughtful work. Dale, I think we can stop sharing this this screen here. Go back to just focusing on the panel. And then Bill, from your perspective, any observations as chair before you move us into the evaluation portion of the discussion?
Yeah, well, maybe echo a few things that were mentioned by some of the panelists earlier. I appreciated the frank and our respectful conversation, and people really sharing their what seemed to be their honest opinions about the applicants. Personally, this has been really enlightening to me as someone who runs a small volunteer nonprofit arts organization, just to hear what priorities are and what some things that maybe I hadn't thought about. So that personally to me, that was really interesting. And yeah, I think this has been a really great group and discussion. So I'd like to thank all the panelists for their input.
Me
thank
too,
you.
ditto, you guys. Yeah, so Jessica, you kind of alluded to the smoothness of the review process from your perspective. Jim's nodding. Would love your comments, the three of you, and Bill's, about how the whole process went. What would have been more helpful? What was seamless? What trends you saw? What things, as you look around this, this mini glimpse, you have a mini snapshot of stuff going on in the state right now. But if there are any trends or needs that you see consistently having come up in these applications, something that you would recommend Arts Board staff or board to focus on in terms of providing technical assistance or being clearer in guidelines, all of this stuff. So I'm going to stop talking and let you guys share your thoughts.
Well, one thing I noticed was from the panelists was kind of the importance of making sure that your application information aligns with what's being asked, or whether it's a budget or your strategic plan. I really appreciated that the panel really noticed when there were discrepancies either in budget or sort of thin strategic planning, and so that I think was really an important trend that I saw over and over again, whether complementary or asking for something more. I think the general just, of giving the panel a full picture of what the organization is trying to do. I heard some of that. And this may be hopefully something that's just going to be in the past, but arts groups benefiting from the COVID relief and taking, and artists are such, frugal people anyways, really, by need, and taking that opportunity and spinning that into something, leveraging it into something bigger, I think was something I heard a few times too. Just a quick review here. And the other thing I think that came up a lot that I noticed was the connection between the applicants' work and their programming and the community, whether it was educational connections through students and professional performers, or just impact on the overall community through like the film festival, having people come downtown and, go out to eat and get drinks and all that kind of stuff. So I saw those kind of as the major trends that I had made notes of.
In terms of the technology of the process, Smart Simple is really slick. The only continuing problem that I had with Smart Simple was that when I clicked, it may well have been me, when I clicked through onto the supplemental material page, it opted to the bottom of the page rather than the top. So I suddenly found myself disoriented and had to. Sometimes I wasn't clear that there wasn't only one thing on the page. I had to remind myself to scroll back to the top to see what other materials they might have submitted. But that was the only technical issue that I found.
When you clicked on the support tab, you had to go all the way up.
When I clicked on the support tab, for me, it defaulted to the bottom of the page.
Thank you. Got it.
But aside from that, I think Smart Simple is miraculous. As somebody who's been through a variety of processes in this in evaluating these materials.
Yes, you have.
With regard to trends that I see, Bill already called out the notion that a surprising number of organizations found their financial status, their financial situation improve either significantly or slightly. And that's one of the surprises of COVID. That's one of the paradoxes of COVID. But we are moving into an era of uncertainty as to when and how many audiences are going to come back. As a matter of fact, one of the organizations spent a lot of time concerned about the fact that they might have done something wrong. They haven't done something wrong. Only 70% of the audience, as of the end of the summer, only 70% of the audience was ready to return to live gatherings. And many of those 70% nationwide are not returning to the things that they left, have had their tastes change or their habits be broken, and they are expressing themselves by attending different kinds of things than they attended in the past. And that's a universal issue for the performing arts. And it will be based upon the experience of the 2008 recession. It will be 5 years before anybody involved in the performing arts can dependably project future audiences based upon past audiences.
Yeah, the audience situation like struck me the most in the Beloit Film Festival, because I thought, their screenings had their attendance was down. And, again, as I mentioned before, it seems like they're doing all the right things, but I wondered if their audiences were more impacted because there's been really a shift in movie watching. It seems like there's a lot of, there were like film festivals can take against that anyway, but it seems with the pandemic, a lot of people went to doing that online. Like you can get first run films, and I think that movies across the board are going to have they're going to have a struggle even more than a lot of the performing arts, because the other live, literally it's in the word, they're live performing arts. So whereas movies, they're going to have a challenge there. So that was one thing I thought about in trends and just general concepts, like what are we going to do moving forward. And the other thing I thought about was, what will it look like what particular performance types or organizations will succeed with hybrid options, and which ones will not, and like how that will end up forward. Because I actually really like a lot of the virtual options that have come up, but I know there's still issues with like the financial model. So
Thank you for that. Oscar, it's been a while since you served on a panel with the Arts Board. What'd you think?
Well, I think I always print out everything, and I have my little binder here in my 3 tabs, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I like to see, feel, and touch, and read, and I did like the reminder you sent, but I think the preliminary scoring, I just advise for panels, because I know I always do things at the last minute. That would have been good. Send your scores in today so you're ready for tomorrow. Then I think that I would have had them in yesterday versus early this morning. So the deadlines are kind of good, especially in the virtual environment. It's just clearly would have been in a meeting and sat around from each other and through body language and conversations. And I really want to thank you for getting 2 other remarkable panelists. I think they offered very different insights. I'm kind of a big picture, and I like everybody, even the people I don't like. And it's so I thought when you look at the final scores, we're 80-90% kind of together on things. And I think I adjusted based on comments and things that I heard that I might have kind of missed. So I do like the initial scoring, and then that ability to kind of go back and then I even though 2 minutes seems like a long time when you have to make the little presentation, it kind of I think I think 2 minutes, if you can focus on 2 minutes, you're going to get, even if it goes 2.5, it's still going to be some meat that you can chew on. So yeah. So I think overall, it's been an amazing experience. I'm glad I volunteered a week and a half ago to do this, or whatever it was, but it's okay. I'm glad you reached out. It's been a while. I think I think hearing the questions, I think to me that's always it's a good reminder of really looking at the whole proposal. We tend to clearly focus on the artistic side, and then the management, budget, all that stuff. Who cares about that? But I think in strategic planning, we'll plan when we need to. So I think all those things are important. And for me, it was a great reminder that not everybody looks exactly at the way I look at things. And it's important to, as an arts organization, to kind of really factor in all those other perspectives.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for
I
excited. Jessica, yeah.
I'm sorry. I also just I apologize again for missing that. I mean, it was pretty clear that I needed to make comments for everyone, but I guess in my heart I didn't want to. So, and I didn't think about the idea of just like saying not applicable. So there was that. Just maybe be clear with new people. They have to comment something. I guess I was being too independent there. And then also, I wish that there was a way to really get this level of depth of information about these organizations, their communities, because there's like doing some amazing things. And I just wish that it was more clear, like even things I know about arts at large, but I was like, oh my gosh, what are they? That is amazing. Like, look at all they're doing. So that's just kind of like how that's like more of like a how question. Like, how do we get that information out to the communities? I mean, I imagine they are, but at the same time, that's always a challenge.
That is such a good point, and something that we'll consider. How can we help the groups leverage, if only what the panel called out as strengths, if not, what they're calling out as strengths, or ideally both, to the larger communities. We're going to think about that, Bill. Deal? And Caitlin and Taylor.
From my perspective as an educator, the ability to know what's going on in the state, and to be surprised by the extraordinary work that organizations are doing, large and small, all over the place, is the primary reason why I love serving on these panels. It's just such a treat to learn what amazing things are being done with no money in little places, or with no money in big places, or with a lot of money in big places, and how they multiply and leverage that money. All of that is just the wonderful thing about arts organizations is that they're not like banks. They're not all organized the same way. They do not all have the same kind of impact. Every organization finds, whether they intend to or not, whether they are deliberate about it or not, they find the way that their community, the way that they mesh with a community, and so everyone has a different manifestation of the good work that can be done by the arts.
Yeah, every community is different, and so the ways that arts organizations respond and work within those communities is going to be different for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge to get artists who oftentimes are doing things in isolation, oftentimes are working in a more sheltered kind of community focused on the arts, to get to master the art of self-promotion without it being viewed as a negative to somebody else. How do we build community? Because for outside of the two that I had some contact with, most of the other groups I had not heard of. I mean, I was just totally impressed with what's going on in Hartford. Now I want to go to Hartford. And but yeah, I think that's a challenge. We have so much else work to do just to do our art, and that extra stuff sometimes, which is so critical and so important. It's just hard to have the staff and the resources to pull it all together. So
Yeah, to do that next step, which is then sharing all of those successes and all of the impact that you have, et cetera, et cetera. Plus, we're from the Midwest, and it's not seemly to brag, right? And so you got to change that around. So it's please brag, please share your strengths so that others can understand the important work that you do, for sure. Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention is that for several of the organizations, it was clear to me that they could have been more expansive about they could have bragged better about the stuff that they did. If the length limit on the narrative had not caused them not to be. And as reviewers, we're torn. We want to know more about all you do, but we also don't want to be reading for 46 days and 46 nights before each panel meeting. So I think it would be helpful if organizations who find themselves leaving stuff out that they think we should know could just put a little take 3 words and say, see supplemental material.
Mm-hmm.
If they find themselves constrained by the narrative length, reserve 3 words and say, see supplemental material.
And one of the things that I counsel when I'm helping groups put applications together or responding to questions or whatever is to talk about how to use that supplemental support material strategically. You know, what's really going to tell your story. If you have 5 different things that are evaluation tools, which ones do you think would best help the panel understand the depth of the evaluative work that you do, for example? If you have 3 videos and you're only allowed to do 1 work sample, do you upload another video to that? And then within the narrative, say, see the video support material and blah, blah, you know, not just the all encompassing financial support, et cetera, but be explicit in which of the support materials you really want to call out. Because, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of narrative space here. And that's in large part because when we did our own evaluation and checked in with the smaller groups, they're like, 3 pages is plenty. We don't need to. But now we're hearing, as time has gone on, we'd like more space, because just because we're small budget doesn't mean we're not doing large numbers of activities. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's a question for the 3 of you. Would it be helpful to have the same narrative length? Should everyone have up to 5 pages to access, or should everyone be constrained to 3 pages? Or it's so hard to do a one-size-fits-all when you've got such a wide variety of groups, but you know, it's that balance. So
I would say yes, that having a 5-page limit for everybody would be helpful. They don't have to use all 5 pages, but having a 5-page limit for organizations, for example, the one thing that I knew was there, because I've reviewed previous applications from Beloit International Film Festival. The one thing I knew was there was the variety of downtown venues that they use, and the partnerships that those represent, and the community impact, that is the economic impact that results from the use of those downtown venues. And I had to go hunting. I deliberately went into their brochure and hunted down the map of the 10 places that they use during the festival, because it was such, I wanted to make sure they were still doing it. So I think having not restricting the small organizations to a smaller amount of space, it would be a good thing.
Thank you. What do the rest of you think? That means more narrative reviews, more reviewing.
I think given that there's such a wide range of organizations, I would agree that it'd be better that they have up to 5 pages, but be clear that it doesn't have to be 5 pages.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the smaller organizations, if they say it doesn't have to be, then it'll be a sigh of relief, and but it would also
Yeah.
I think giving groups an opportunity to kind of share their story, because they have to, as if people don't know about the organizations. And most of these groups I had never heard of. I assumed there was but I had never heard of each one. I think the final thing is that on Facebook, I co-found with somebody from Madison's, Sam Becker from Bach Dynamite Dancing, something called Art Party Madison. And we try to, in a positive, very positive way, talk about all the things that are kind of going on. And then we have a monthly gathering where we rotate to different arts venues. And we do it on a Tuesday because nothing happens on a Tuesday. We do it from 5 to 7 because I have a lot of old people friends and they like things from 5 to 7, and it's free. So so we rotate it among different venues, and since, even though I know everybody in Madison, each time there's a new group, a new person, and it's very refreshing because, as someone entering my 7th decade in a few years, you're always wondering who's going to carry on the tradition, who's going to carry on the work. And when you meet this intergenerational group, you're well aware that things are going to turn out okay.
That's awesome. Thank you. Did I just cut you off, Oscar? Were you going to say one more thing?
No. Just, but I'm going to have to get out of my hotel room pretty soon because there's not somebody knocking on my door, but I can hear them walking by. So I'm going to have to get off this call very soon.
Thank you. Any further words of wisdom before we say bye to Oscar and wish you all a really wonderful weekend and say thank you again for your really conscientious and thoughtful work on these applications?
Yeah, I just wanted to say again that I really appreciated the experience and the process, and to thank you for inviting me to do it. I really, really did enjoy that. And also I had a thought, and I'll try to keep it short, but maybe since there's all this excellent information available, if at some point the Wisconsin Arts Board, or as a larger organization, Travel Wisconsin, is looking to do promotional spots about the state of Wisconsin, like all the information is already there. So like if they are looking to talk about an organization that does this with kids or does that with, like all the things that are part and parcel of the grant proposals, like that would be a bucket to look at for helping promote. Like if they're like, we want to talk about arts in Wisconsin, like go to that bucket and then maybe do like short, like Travel Wisconsin 15-second videos online that are like, hey, and like calls out the extraordinary things that those organizations do. So
you remind me that we are connected in now with an organization that is all about promoting and bragging and doing all the things in a positive and good way and appropriate way. So thank you for that, Jessica. That's a perfect note to end on. Oscar, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Jim.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good
Phil,
weekend.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
friend.
you.
This
Bye-bye.
is great.
Thank you, Caitlin and Dale.
No
Bye,
problem.
everybody. What'd you think?